Hi, this is Paula from How to Be an Artist, and today we're talking about creating opportunities. I have a 5-point plan to get you out of your chicken zone and sending out your stuff. So, first on the list is to create a list of your contacts. I know a lot of people, including myself, think that we don't know anyone, and that's really not true. If you start listing out all the people you know, you'll find you actually know a lot of people, and you can include social media in that, and I'll do a whole other post about social media. Number two is to list the types of people that you need help from, whether it's agents or managers, or you want to get a publicist, or maybe you need a real estate agent to help you find a space to do an installation, or a party planner, or who knows what the people you need, a producer, actors, and really let your imagination go crazy, because there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, as they say, and there's a million ways you can come at getting your project done or getting your project out there. And I will give you a couple of examples. My friend John, who's a painter, he was looking through magazines and saw how many paintings there were just in decor magazines and stuff like that. And he was like, maybe I'll look up interior designers and see if there's people who need paintings placed in their homes. Wow! He sent out a random email to a whole bunch of people, and he sold 7 paintings in one day. So that's an excellent example of thinking outside the box a little bit, or not even really outside the box, but just thinking, sitting down and actually thinking, how can I connect my work with money, basically, or recognition, depending on what you're looking for. Another example would be, you hear it all the time in the film community, I can't get it, I don't have an agent, or my agent's not helping me, I can't get my screenplay. If only I could get my screenplay to, some star, she would love it. I know she would want to play this part. Well, okay, that's a place to start. Try to think of all the ways, 6 degrees of separation. Who do you know who might know someone who knows that star? Or can you just call their manager and get your screenplay in the door that way? Or can you pick a star who's like that star, but maybe not quite as famous, if you're really not a known entity yourself? So make sure you really use your imagination and go down all the roads you can go down to list the people that you might want to connect with, and how. And then, of course, number 3 is to do your own inventory. And by this, I mean really not just for the purposes of connecting, but actually just write a list of all the stuff that you have, so that it's a good exercise, because it pumps you up, remembering that you're an artist with a lot to offer, but it also gets your creative juices flowing and your imagination going places where it might not go if you're just always, if you're focusing on one project. I have to get that project out there, which is fine to be doing that, but the focus of the third exercise is to list everything you've done, because you might forget that you might forget what you have. You might not be identifying your best work, or your best work in relation to a lot of those people on your list. Something they might be interested might pop up, and you think, oh, actually I do have a connection to that other person, but not for the project I've been so focused on. So remind yourself of what you've done. I know when I first hired my first coach, we probably had like 6 sessions before it came out that I had a romance novel. And she's like, you have a novel? And I'm like, yeah, I wrote it on a lark, blah, blah, blah. She's like, wait a minute, you have a novel sitting on your shelf at home, like a finished book. I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, what have you done with it? And of course, I hadn't done anything because I was so focused on getting a screenplay agent for the 5 years prior. And that I just thought, you know, romance novel, that's not who I am. I'm a screenwriter. Anyway, so she made me write a query, send it out, and I got a book agent in a week after 5 years of slogging it out looking for a screenwriting agent. So be flexible and, you know, stay loose with your definitions of what needs to happen first and when, because you never know. Then, of course, number 4 is send your work. Oh my God, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who just, they're so ready, it's ridiculous, and they just will not hit that send button. And I think a lot of artists have a bit of a psychological break there, that it's, you know, probably fear of rejection, of course, but also just a fear of, or a belief that you're never ready, you know. And also there's sort of a party line out there that, you know, you only have that first impression, you know, the first impression is everything, and, you know, don't blow it because it's that first impression. Like, fuck the first impression, whatever. That person's going to forget about you in a year, or someone else will be in their job, you know, and you can come at them with probably the exact same manuscript and they'll be like, oh yeah, this is brilliant. Like, I mean, it really doesn't matter, in my opinion. But what does matter is that you need to be kind and respectful when you send stuff, and you also need to send it in the way in which they have asked you to send it. So, you know, if a gallery absolutely wants to see a piece of work in person, don't send them a JPEG. Make an appointment like they ask you to on the website. You know, for writers, there's always specific guidelines for how to send work. Usually it's email now, but there's still some literary agencies and publishers that will only take mailed manuscripts, and you just want to make sure you're sending them what they want and being kind and respectful. And I'm going to do a separate video on query letters because that's a whole thing unto itself. But really get it out there. Identify what the right item is to be sending the right person on the list. You know, whether it's the work itself or whether you're, you know, trying to get a publicist on board and you're telling them a little bit about yourself. It's a great way to force yourself to create that inventory that you need, whether it's a logo or a bio. You should always have at least 3 bios, one that's like 1 sentence, one that's 3 sentences, and then one that's a paragraph. And really you should have a little longer than that too, rambling on about yourself, which of course is torture for artists. But this is a really good opportunity when you're trying to create opportunities to get all those things done. Get the new headshots, or get a headshot, get your package in order, and then you start using that sending muscle, and the more you use it, the easier it is, and you realize that nobody cares about you anyway, so it doesn't matter. And if they do care, they're gonna love your stuff, and then you have created some success for yourself, and success breeds success. So that brings me to my final point, which is, and this might sound silly, recognize the opportunity when it comes to you. I've been very guilty of this myself in the past, thinking like, oh, well, I wanted a yes. I wanted a, that is the most brilliant story I've ever read. I'm going to publish it right now and pay you $1 million. Things don't usually come that cut and dry, but success can take so many forms that I don't want you to miss out because you weren't paying attention. For example, it could be, you know, somebody sends you an answer and it's not a rejection, but it's not really an acceptance either. They either want to see more work, or they want to, you know, more links to references or whatever it is. Don't be discouraged. Recognize that for what it is and send them what they need, and start going down that road, because That could be a good journey to be on. And also things that come from completely other places. You know, you're working hard to try to find representation, and then, you know, your mom calls and says, oh, you know, Uncle Bernie says he knows an agent, and you kind of roll your eyes and, oh, really? I'm not going to meet with Uncle Bernie's agent. Don't do that. Meet with him. He could be your guy, you know. Or like the person at the corner store who says like, oh, I didn't know you were an artist. Boy, I love art. I wanted to put some up on the walls here, but you know, I haven't met anyone. You know, bring your stuff in, show it, meet some people in your community, and really recognize opportunities when they come to you, because it's all good energy toward your art and your creations. So those are my 5 tips. List your contacts, list the people, the types of people who can help you, inventory your stuff, pump yourself up, and that includes your stuff like your bio and your headshot and things like that. Send it out. Dear God, send it out. Be kind and respectful when you do it, and send it the way they want it to be sent. Don't worry about first impressions. Make an impression. It's better than making no impression, believe me. And then recognize opportunity when it comes to you. Good luck.